Hi, I'm Uhlmann reporting for TTN-HD Production Live, here with Stephen Kaplan. What inspired you to get into the entertainment business?
Well, it wasn't so much an inspirational thing, Katie, as much as it was a happenstance of falling into it.
Okay, so you worked as a lawyer before getting into it, and then how did A lead to B?
Well, the thing that I've noticed a lot about people in the entertainment business is everyone has a different path. My path, I went to law school and then became a trial lawyer, so I was suing people and for others and defending others against being sued, and did that for about 20-something years. And then a friend of mine wanted to produce a film and asked me to come on board as the production lawyer, but I had no idea how to do entertainment. So I learned it, and then as I started doing more and more of it, an opportunity came up to invest some money in it. And obviously once I invested money in the movie, then I had to protect my money. So I started finding myself doing things to add value to the production, which is essentially what a producer does. So I brought in some talent and some more money, and ultimately got involved with selling the film. And when it was all over, we had made a really cool film with John Ritter from Three's Company, and one of John's last films. And Bryan Cranston, who at the time was fairly unknown, and now is a huge TV star with Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle. So it was a great experience. We made the film for almost nothing and sold it for a lot. So when it was over, I thought, this is a little bit more entertaining than suing people professionally. So I thought, go do another movie.
What's the most challenging part about producing?
Producing is definitely one of the hardest things I think you can do, because it combines so many different skill sets. It's really not something you can, I think, effectively learn in school other than the mechanics of it. But the reality of it is it requires intelligence and good people skills and good communication skills and the ability to synthesize information and tell a great story, recognize a great story, recognize that the film is something that there's an audience for it. And when you think about all the pieces that go into putting a film together and having that film not just get distribution, but have people see it and collect money at the end, it's far more challenging, I think, than being a lawyer.
What's the most rewarding aspect of it?
I think for me, the most rewarding aspect has just been the fact that I can make one film and touch millions of people with that story. And whether they're some of the documentaries we've made, which have been pretty interesting, or the feature films, one of my frustrations as a lawyer is whatever I did was good for my client, but no one else really cared about the work that we did. And in the film business, whether it's film, TV, or music, the things that we're doing transcend one person. They transcend nationalities, they transcend boundaries, they transcend sex, they transcend almost every quality. It's either you're entertained by what we did or you're not. And at the end of the day, if I can make somebody happy, or if I can change their emotional resonance, make them take action or want to take action, then I think we've done our job.
What genres do you want to work in the future? Do you have anything specifically that you're looking to work on?
I think some companies are driven by the genre. They're horror companies, they're doc companies, or action. For me and my companies, we like to storytell. My background as a trial lawyer was telling stories to a jury to try to get 12 men and women to buy my version of the facts and do what I want them to do. So in the film business, it's a very, very similar dynamic. We're driven by a great story, whether it's a true story that we're making a documentary about it, or it's a fictional story that we think is compelling, whether it's because it's compelling because it's an interesting subject, or it's just fun to tell that story. I think that's what drives me.
What advice would you give to an aspiring producer?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. I think the smartest thing to do, which in retrospect, had I had any inclination or desire to be a producer early in my career, I think getting a strong mentor who knows what they're doing is really smart. I would have saved myself a lot of time and a lot of anguish in not having to learn it on my own. But everything that I've done as a producer was all self-taught. I have no mentor. And that can sometimes be really good and sometimes not so good. And you make mistakes along the way. That's how you learn, and hopefully the mistakes you make don't kill you.
Are you hoping to step into a mentor role, or are you mentoring some people now?
What we do, I mentor people all the time. I like mentoring young people, particularly young, talented people who are willing to work hard and understand that this is a low reward business until such time as you make it. And the definition of making it obviously is different, because you could be doing really well and have no money in your pocket because your distributor took all your money or went bankrupt, or you just didn't find an audience, or something went wrong with the film. And there's so many ways that what you do can be completely wasted, that I'm very proud of the fact that as one measure of success, every single one of our films has got distribution and has found its audience. The financial return, it's a good and a bad thing. Sometimes it's great, sometimes not so much.
What are some of the films that you have in production and post-production right now that you're excited about?
Well, Katie, we have a film that I'm actually really excited about called State of Control that we started shooting right before the 2008 now, Beijing Olympics. And the film really focuses on China's state of control over its neighbors on a micro level. So we shot in Tibet, Nepal, China, and India on spy cameras, hidden cameras, in order to be able to capture real, true images that were not filtered by any kind of censorship. It's taken 5 years to produce the movie. We shot it in 8 countries with a lot of population footage. Where we distributed cameras to people that live down there, and they filmed and sent us the footage, which has been cut into the film. And
these spy cameras, where are they generally located?
They're built into Blackberries or in hats. Excuse me. They're on our belts. I mean, wherever we're not going to get caught for holding a big camera.
Were there ever any dangerous situations with the spy cameras where you thought you may be caught, and how did that play out?
Well, the film really placed the entire production in a very precarious situation. A number of people on our team, their computers were hacked, bank accounts were accessed from other countries.
Wow.
One of the stories we followed is the story of a young Tibetan filmmaker named Dundup Wangchen. Dundup shot a short film called Leaving Fear Behind. We got a copy of it, and shortly thereafter, Dundup was arrested and tried and convicted and sentenced to 8 years in a Chinese prison.
Oh, goodness.
His wife and their 8 children live in a very small apartment as refugees in Nepal. So one of the culminating moments of the film is we bring her to Times Square, and we give his short film a massive international audience. And she gives an impassioned plea for his
Tell
release.
me a little bit about Billy Bates.
Well, on the opposite side of the spectrum of fear and pain is Billy Bates, which is a narrative film about an artist on the verge of his big breakthrough moment in the New York art scene. There's a lot of real art from a very talented LA artist named Burton Machen. And we kind of go back and forth between his impressions as he's about to have this big art show and the trials and tribulations he has to go through in order to be able to get there and make it in that very turbulent and difficult world. And it's a great film. It just played at Tribeca, starting to make its way into the world.
And Sunset Strip is another exciting one you have coming up.
Yeah, so Sunset Strip is a doc we just did about the world famous Sunset Strip, and premiered at South by Southwest in March. And the film is a really interesting take on the history of the strip, the personalities. It features interviews with people like Mickey Rourke and Johnny Depp and Sharon Stone, and musicians like Slash and Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, and Robbie Krieger from The Doors. You know, it's got the bars and the clubs and the deaths and the, you know, all the craziness that happened. It's a really, really cool film, especially if you just like hip hop culture. It's a fun one. So, you know, that film is just starting to get out for distribution now.
And you have a horror film coming out as well?
Yeah, we're starting production. I mean, some of the projects coming up, and I'll just kind of riff on that for a sec, but some of the projects we're in prep on now is a film called Without You I'm Nothing, which is about a very turbulent relationship between a man and a woman set here in Los Angeles, that circumstances in their lives, even though they try really hard to build this love between them, end up tearing them apart. It's a very touching story that'll touch your heart. For anyone that's felt pain in a relationship, you'll feel the pain here. Very talented lead actress who also wrote the script, Robin Bain, is leading the cast. And we're in the middle of casting it now, which is pretty exciting. We're doing a movie called Frostbites. We're shooting in Canada, in Montreal. That's a Christmas monster movie. David Benulo, who wrote one of the writers on Around the World in 80 Days, wrote the script, his original script, and is directing. And we'll be shooting that towards the end of this year. We're doing a movie called Magnet in Norway, which I'm very excited about. That's kind of a very suspenseful thriller that happens on one of those big tourist ships off the coast of Norway, where one day these guys who are shooting this documentary for National Geographic wake up and everyone on the boat's gone, and the boat's a ghost ship except for them. And we follow them as they slowly go insane, both breaking down physically, mentally, and emotionally, with kind of a really interesting, fun twist at the end. So it's exciting. You know, we're shooting movies all over the world, and you know, and aligning ourselves with some very talented filmmakers, which is really exciting. You work with people that are talented like you.
And how do you go about choosing projects?
Well, you know, we receive, I mean, literally in a given month, hundreds of submissions. Everything from scripts, pitches, synopses, package projects, etc. If it's unsolicited, we don't read it, so it doesn't even get consideration. So if someone wants to submit to us, it either needs to come through their lawyer, their manager, or their agent, or have a personal relationship with my company. But once you get through that hurdle, then it really comes down to whether we feel the story is A, compelling and one we want to tell, B, can it be made for a budget that makes sense, C, will it attract the requisite cast necessary to attract both the domestic and international audience, and ultimately the eyeballs and the dollars that people will spend in order to be able to access that entertainment. So we look at a lot of factors, and the films that we pick, I think, are really interesting movies. And when people see the range of films that we make, you know, part of the goal was that they'd be excited about the types of movies that we're making, and it's not just like, you know, some average BS story just because you could get the money. I mean, we really want to make really high quality pictures.
And what's the best place to find out more information on you online?
Probably the best place to check is our website for RAINSTORM Entertainment, which is www.rainstormentertainment.com. The music side of our business is rainstorm-music.com. And then we still have our entertainment law firm, which is Entertainment Law Partners. So it's entlawpartners.com.
Well, thank you very much, Stephen, and best of luck with all of your upcoming projects.
Thank you, Katie. You've been a terrific hostess.
I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for TTN-HD Production Live.